Hey, Dustin LeBleu here with the Dustin LeBleu CEO podcast. I'm joined by Austin, and today we're going to talk about confidence and the lack thereof.
And the fact that you need to have confidence, insane confidence in your craft, or just in general.
Is that what we're naming this? Insane confidence in your craft, or just insane confidence?
I mean, I feel like if we use just insane confidence,
Yeah.
we're known for using the word insane.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of unconfident motherfuckers out there that like to copy that too.
Yeah, there's a plethora of copycats. So if you guys just want to go ahead and start your own podcast too, feel free. But as you guys can tell, we're both kind of on one today. It's been a different start to a Monday, and that is why we're kind of going at this podcast in a different tempo. We're not really coming into it with a whole list of notes or necessarily key points per se. It's kind of just coming from the heart on this one. It's going to be more of like a real talk type episode. So, you know what, man? I know you got a lot on your mind, so I'm going to let you take it away right off the bat.
Well, I've got a piece of paper with a bunch of scribble on it, and it says random shit. And I think you got a Gatorade.
I have a Gatorade.
And I've got a water and a Solo cup. But the point of this is I'm kind of like, over this weekend, man, like I'm sick of unconfident people having a problem with people that do have confidence, right? Mm-hmm. It just gets annoying. Like it's, if you're confident, you've got to be confident if you're going to do something. If you're going to do something great, you got to have confidence. Well, own that. Own the confidence. Who cares what others think?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So many people, I think like one of the largest pitfalls of I want to say not just business people. I mean, as we see it, it's in life in general too, but one of the largest pitfalls is they care too much about what people think. And you know what? You can have the utmost confidence in everything that you do, but if you hold too much value in what others think, you're holding yourself back. You can have all the confidence in the world. Doesn't matter. But
yeah, and people let that express themselves, I guess. Like they let other people express through them like this lack of confidence, and they don't do certain things. You know what I mean? They won't do certain things in life. So they'll basically, sit there and they'll have these great ideas and stuff, and they'll never do them because they're worried about what this other stupid ass unconfident person thinks.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I'm not trying to knock on unconfident people, but I kind of am, because you are dragging people down with your lack of self-confidence. You're actually hurting other people that are self-confident. And what is the problem with that?
Yeah. I mean, like, especially, like I used to kind of be in that boat where I was, I had a low self-confidence, more or less like a self-esteem. And that was kind of like right when I was coming out of high school or whatever. But, that's like the same story for just about everybody, I feel like.
Right. Everybody's had downs, yeah.
Yeah, that's like almost cliche. But then, you know what, I got out of it. I was told, you're never going to do jack shit. You're always going to be at the bottom, blah, 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 blah. Fuck those people. Look where I'm at now. I have confidence, and at this point in my life, I could really give two shits what other people think. And it greatly shows, for me as a person of business and as a husband in general. Like, I don't let outwardly and negative people who have a low self-esteem affect my flow going forward. And it makes it like, I hate when somebody in the workplace that has no self-esteem. Okay, self-esteem is a bad way to say it, like self-confidence. Mm-hmm. Like they don't have confidence in their craft. And at the end of the day, like, hey, I need a bunch of stuff done. Like I have one particular issue right now. I'm not going to say names, but I have so many banners that I contract out a week to somebody. Yeah. Video projects as well. And it is now, what is it, the 17th? So it's 2 days past the 15th. It's bi-weekly pay. And you know what? You didn't get any of my work done.
Yeah. And guess what? They're going to be wondering about that pay.
Yeah. And guess what? You're not going to get it. And it's the fact that you didn't do any of my stuff because you second guess everything that you do. Like I can't go coach you every step of the way, which I started, along the beginning. Like, yes, I told you, I directed you in every step possible. I gave you all the tips. I gave you like absolutely everything you needed to have that extra confidence. But you know what? Damn, does it get annoying after months and months and months.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is like when you get annoyed and frustrated, people are like, oh, why are you so angry? Like, why are you? I'm angry because, like, everybody has a problem with every little thing you do. And it's like, I don't really care. I'm going to do my thing. Like, I'm going to do me. Do what you're going to do. Like, don't worry about what I'm doing all the time. And everybody has, it's just like the copying thing. Like nobody wants to believe in anything. All they want to do is make fun of everything you do until you do it and it's successful. Then they want to copy that shit because it's so easy. Think about it. They have such little confidence. They're going to mock you. Then they're going to extremely, like, basically just copy exactly what you just did because they know it works now. It's really very easy for them now. Yeah. Because they don't have to have any confidence. Well, yeah, they know that we already had the confidence.
Yeah, they have zero self-confidence in starting their own brand or their own ideas, like that are original. So, hey, let's take the safe bet and then just blatantly rip somebody off.
Correct.
How many times have we seen that within, I'm going to cut it short and say the past year. Because year is a good time frame for that, I feel like, for certain brands here.
Well, I would say, yeah. I mean, because it's not, it's more, definitely more than a year. But yeah, so if we're breaking down in a year, let's say it could be really anything. It's so blatant because it could be like, we do movies now, we do this, now, that, now. You just see it. It's just so blatant. That's all they can do is they can think about it. They're just stuck in this almost like this time zone that I'm trying to think of the words to say that. I'm actually getting kind of pissed off. But it's almost like they're stuck in this little old school mindset. Yeah. And we've moved forward so much that it's just like they're almost like pests in a way.
Yeah, it's like they want to be there, but they're not there. And, I'm trying to figure out how you can relate that. They're not there to the whole idea of lack of confidence. And I guess it's, it kind of just goes back to the fact that they didn't have enough confidence to evolve their own ideas. And once we've got to this point, they're staring at us, from the back row thinking, oh, shit, I want to be at the front row. But I don't have the patience nor the confidence to take that leap of faith that closes the gap. So I'm going to steal everything that they've done and I'm going to copy it.
And that's the thing, dude. Like you can't not be, if you're not confident, you'll never move forward. And I don't even think about like back then because like I said on podcast 1, like that stuff's behind me. And I'm always thinking forward, man. So I'm confident in my own thought. I'm confident in my own brain. Like I'm not worried about, to be honest, it's going to sound weird. I'm not worried about what you think sometimes because I'm so focused on what I'm thinking. I want to get that out. Yeah. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. And that's the problem. Everybody else is they're so consumed by other people's thoughts that they're stuck in this. It's almost like a time gap, man. It really is. It sounds crazy, but it really is like a time gap.
Oh, no, man. The idea of original thought and like original, and from my aspect, design and original marketing and all that, man, that's like, for so many people, it's so dead. It's like that's all it is anymore. Is just nothing but the same. It's like a bunch of false mirrors. It's the same thing, and you're gonna see it over and over again. Like it gets so old so fast, and it's almost like concerning to see how many people try to rip you off, and it's just like
it's very concerning. It's like self-hate, man. Like that's what it is. Like they hate on themselves so much that they want to put that hate onto you, but in reality, they hate themselves. So instead of self-loving themselves and stuff, and like basically like having that extreme confidence in themselves, they have to have that extreme like, displeasure with you. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know what, guys? So a lot of people are probably wondering, well, how do I even gain confidence? How do I even that question is so broad. It's like no one can give you the exact formula on how to develop confidence. I think it's more of a mental game that you have to realize you yourself are great and can be great. And you know what? Go back and what is last week's episode? It would have been last week's episode where we talked about defining yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you can define yourself and figure out what you're good at, and then you have the ability to build on something and have confidence to move forward with it. But you know what? For me, the way I look at it, all those copycats, they're not good at what they do.
No, they're not good at what they do. And I'll answer your question, how to be confident. You spend so much damn time and thought on what you're good at, right? Yeah. So I spend a immense amount of time day and night thinking about and figuring out ways to overcome certain situations in my business, right? I'm so confident because I know I put the damn time in. I'm not worried about anybody else. I don't think about other people except for like, honestly, just for them. Like, why are you so damn down on what I'm doing? Like, I'm worried about kicking ass for my group of guys, Yeah. So the confidence comes from fear of you have no fear of failure because you put the time in.
I was literally about to, like, this whole time I've been sitting here thinking of like, okay, this all ties into fear of failure too. Like 100% it does. But it doesn't make sense why somebody else is going to fear for like your failure or fear for the fact that you may have a failure or a hiccup. Like, why does that? I for the life of me cannot wrap my head around the fact that somebody else takes time out of their day to worry about what we do. I literally, what is their justification? What is it?
Well, because they want you to fail. That's the point. They want you to fail, but they don't understand that we're not scared to fail. So
Yeah.
it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't work. That's not how things are supposed to go as a business leader or as a family man, whatever. You know what? This is more so business, so I'm not going to try and relate this to family. As a businessman and or woman, you're staling out your team of people if that is how you're trying to lead them. If you're trying to lead them by observation of somebody else that's already a great leader themselves, and you're trying to steal their ideas, steal their ideology, steal their product, steal whatever it is, and then just basically copycat it. That's
But what you're not, the one thing they're not stealing is they're not stealing the confidence and the self-confidence. That's the one thing they're not understanding. And that's the point of this. It's going to sound like almost like an angry podcast in a way, but it is a little bit, because I think, we're getting these people hit us up and they're so woe is me, this and that. Go back and listen to the first damn podcast.
yeah.
Like, it's starting to get a little stale because we're on this is podcast 14 or something. I don't really know.
We're down the line a bit.
But come on, guys. The little pity me things, pull your head out your ass. I hate to be like that at this point, but come on.
Yeah.
Get a little self-confident.
Yeah, man. Like,
put some time in.
Like, you know what? Especially, of course, I'm gonna relate back to certain social media accounts that I run, but not naming anything brand specific. But you know how many times I'll be gentle and say a week that I get messages.
Honestly, don't even be gentle. Who gives a shit?
Okay, on a daily basis, there's probably 4 to 5 people. Keep this in mind. This is on a daily basis. So within a 5-day period, 25 or so people that will direct message just alone on Twitter, and they'll be like, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Okay, so it's obviously going to be a supplement brand here." And they're like, "I love your supplements. I love the idea and everything. I've always wanted to do it, but I don't really think I can, or I don't think that I know what I'm going to be able to do right off the bat. Can you basically," and I'm not kidding you, "can you lay absolutely everything out?
Right.
Tell me the exact steps that you took. Can you tell me how you manufacture? Can you tell me how you bottle? And I'm just like, at the end, I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Like,
hey man, I don't think that I can really do a business. I'm probably going to fail. Can you please do all the hard work for me?
yeah, that's
how that sounds.
That is what it boils down
Yeah.
to. And some of them literally come across just like that. Basically, I've even seen the ones that more or less say that, like, "Hey, if you guys do, all the manufacturing and all the marketing and all that stuff, we'll cut you like 10 or 15%. Like 10 or 15% of what? That's not, first of all, like
10 and 15% of you, that's what people don't understand. Like, part of investing in somebody is investing in them, investing in the person themselves, not even the product sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have a little sob story coming to you and like, "Hey, I'm going to do this, invest in me." I can do that same shit.
Yeah.
But actually have confidence in it.
Yeah. So when you see people go on Shark Tank and they get right there in front of all the, the different sharks, whatever you want to call them, like, what do you think is one of the number one characteristics that they are observing for?
I guarantee you it's the person.
It's the person.
Guaranteed.
I'm sure they're listening to your idea, of course. They're looking at what they're investing in. But in the same way that we do with people here at work, when it comes to the hiring process, the first thing that we're doing is looking, does this person exude confidence? Are they generally, do they poise themselves correctly? Do they hold themselves upright? Do they walk with a certain, air about them where they, they are extremely intelligent? Or do they walk around like, "Hey, I've got this shit"? Or do they walk around
do you have some swagger? It's okay. That's the point of this one, dude. It's okay to have some swagger. Like, if you put the time in, you're allowed to have the swagger. Don't worry about if somebody says you're arrogant. That's just confidence.
I'm sorry. I know this one's getting classified as like rated R because I'm getting...
That explicit code comes out.
Yeah. So basically this one's going to have the explicit name next to it. But yeah, it's just some of those people, I don't know. They're just like... They're jealous that you have the swagger to walk around with your head up. And they try to bring you down. You know what? And what sucks is there's even some of those people in the workplace.
No, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people like that. I mean, it's just...
When I say workplace, I mean like even within company, like in the company.
I agree.
Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, people
100%.
love to see it, even though it may even hurt them. They want to bring you down to their level, and that's what that's kind of why we're doing this podcast. Is like, we talk a lot about the positive things and things like that, but there's a positive in having confidence, and this is the positive. We're trying to show you the negative aspect of other people trying to bring it down.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like our ambassador program, right? You'll bring somebody in and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
But then they'll go, how fast are they to send an email like, hey, where's my paycheck? Or hey, why aren't I getting free products? Well, look, dude, you ain't done shit. You haven't even done a post.
Oh,
why are you even asking this question?
Bro, I've got it going on right now too. I say I, and it's because I deal with a few certain people in specific. But it's just like you'll have people, that you've again contracted to do video work. This being on a separate basis from the one that I prefaced earlier. However, they've got an agreed upon amount due each week, and then it's just like you get 4 or 5 in a month. Or the product that comes forth is more or less a self-promotion for the other brand or the other, whatever you want to call it, organization. And then they come around, they're like, hey, where's my money? Or, hey, where's this, where's that? And it's just like, did you withhold your end of the agreement?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, did you have, and it's like you can go back and watch the videos and there's like no confidence in what these people are filming. Like you can tell how they carry themselves, just like, hello, yeah, it's me. This is Insane Lives of stuff. Thank you.
GG go.
You guys got this. And I'm just like, oh, like I don't even know how to explain it.
Where's my damn check, son?
Yeah, and then it comes around, and you know what? And it's not. What's annoying is it's on like a daily basis. Like, I'll say something, nothing will happen. I won't get an email back. 2 weeks later, like, you know what? We've gone essentially in a month. We've gone halfway into the new month, and it's like, hey, where's last month's payment? Well, first of all, you never responded to me.
Yeah.
You didn't do any of the stuff that I asked you. There was no correspondence. You tell me.
And the reason they usually don't want to do the stuff that is asked of them because they're scared to be like, do something and be like, oh, well, other people said I'm a sellout or this and that. Well, if you have confidence in your shit, you ain't going to worry about that.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I've been personally attacked, personally made fun of ideas that have came back. Those exact people who've made fun of me are literally copying my shit now.
Yeah.
Our shit now. Let's say it that way. Literally doing that. These are the same people that made fun of what we were doing before. Okay? So don't worry about what they're saying there. Like, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
If they're that unconfident, there is nothing to even worry about because they are never going to get you if they can't turn that shit around.
Yeah. In fact, what will happen is you're going to go look back in 4 or 5 years and you're going to look in the space and be like, oh, hey, look whose company's crumbling.
Or it's just like, hey, does this person exist anymore?
Yeah, well, I haven't heard of their name since oh, God, they don't exist.
How many times have we said that? Like, we go back and look and be like, they still make product? Or like, what? I haven't heard shit about them.
Yeah, like I actually do that, I hate to say it, like on a weekly basis, because we, there's retainer samples and shit sitting around. So obviously I'm looking at it and I'm like, or I'll happen to, go over into my old partition drive on my computer and look at all these old files. And I'm like, oh my God, there's thousands of people and I don't hear of any of them.
Yeah.
You know what was funny too? When we had the design, like when we had the actual separate design company like years ago, before all this kind of really took off, it was I always remember it was right when the company that gets ripped off now, right when things were really starting to catch fire. People would come to the design company not knowing, that
we were that.
We were them, and they'd be like, yo, I want to rip these people off. No joke. They'd be like, straight up, I have emails where people were like, hey, I want to rip off their look, or hey, I want to rip off everything they do. And I'm like, no.
Well, they as we, so whatever.
Yeah. And
the fact of doing that anyway is not, right.
So don't be those people. Have the confidence to be unique.
And here's another one that's good. Speaking of that company, that's built off of a movie sector, that we own.
Yeah.
And one that always got me is people will come, like people that have a movie together, though. They might be half finished or whatever, and they'll be like, yo, can you put up $200K for this movie? We'll give you such and such a percent. I'll come back and be like, look, I like what you've got so far, but it's a lot of work to be done. I'll do this, but I need this percent. Oh, well, I can't put any money out because this and that. Okay, so you're trying to sell me a movie. You're trying to get me involved in a movie that you're scared of yourself, that you made, that you started working on. You're so scared of losing money, you can't put any shit up yourself.
It just hit me who you were talking about.
I'm actually talking about a bunch of people actually on this one because I've had this email so many times to, the producer email. It's just like, you just want somebody to. Do you know how hard it is to get a movie out? And I mean, aside from just making the movie, do you know how hard it is to make money on a movie? It's extremely hard, man.
That would be a good podcast. Dear God, that would be a wonderful podcast.
Oh, because the business is such a fucking joke. I mean,
it is.
It's basically run by like 2 or 3 companies, but
Yep.
we've managed to have some nice little, little plays here and there. And we're about to change the way it works. But it's just the fact that some of these filmmakers have such little confidence in their work. It's like, why did you even do this?
Yeah.
And the answer is because it was on somebody else's cash.
Yeah. For a minute there, I totally thought you were talking about, like that specific person. Like, I've held on to this movie now for like 9 or 11 years.
Okay, yeah. Well, there it is, man. Before you know it, you're a fucking crackhead on the side of the road, dressing in a business suit, trying to act like you got
billions.
It's like you shot this damn thing before there was 4K. We're probably talking too much into it, but it's just a frustration thing. It's
a podcast. We're allowed.
Bro,
to do
it's a
this.
Self-confidence thing. Again, It's a self-confidence thing. If that person that we're talking about had self-confidence, that movie could make, honestly, millions and millions.
That movie, and I say, I don't even know if I would use the word "could" now specifically because it's like it's almost to the point where it's dated. It's really dated is. Now, so now it's like had this person not sat on this for, what was it, like, how long
10
was it?
years?
10 years? Had they not sat on it for 10 years, I can't even begin to fathom the amount of money that could have been made from that. How many cuts did we go back and redo from the pulled footage? I think what was there, 3 cuts?
I don't know. Too
3
much
different
damn
cuts.
waste of time.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. The movie had a lot of.
We had confidence.
It had a lot of. I had confidence in the movie itself, but it's like, we went back, and me and you actually went to Hollywood, and we actually met with this, let's say, gentleman, cokehead gentleman, but it was like we did a movie for like 20 grand or 30 grand or something. And this movie that we did in less than a year, we actually didn't do it. We didn't direct or nothing. We just executive produced it. And this thing was in like the top 3 or something on Google Play, wasn't it, at the time, or something like that?
Dude, it stayed there for a long ass. In fact, is it still top 100?
It may be. I don't even know. But this thing stayed up there for long. It won like an Amazon award for top 50 and all this kind of stuff. We put literally not much in this movie at all. The movie sucked, but the point is we marketed it well. We moved it because we even though we didn't like the movie, we had confidence in selling the movie. So we sold it. This guy was so blown away. He was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this with my movie? We're not going to do it with your movie because you can't even give us a damn cut of it.
Yep.
Because you're so scared of the outcome. And the point being is that's that fear thing again.
Yeah, 100%, dude. The fear of failure held back what would have been, I think, a multi-million-dollar grossing movie.
I don't think there's any doubt, man. With the right push, it could have been.
Like, and I know that's like almost egocentric to say, like, like we're sure that's a multi-million-dollar like blockbuster. But if you would have seen, I don't know, I guess the premise of everything, how everything was set up, the timeline, the way everything played out, it was a beautifully scripted piece of necessarily, I guess you would say, art. And
there was actually good marketing behind it. It was there. It was ready to be gone.
It was thrown away just like that. It's just gone. I mean, it's still here, but it's pointless to even do anything with it now.
We still got it. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with it, but hey, we got it.
Yeah. I mean, release it on the side. Whatever. Anyway.
But that's one of those things where that guy is so scared to do anything with it. That's where the self-confidence comes into play. And that's kind of the thing that I see most with businesses. I'm starting to see it more and more with people reaching out to us. It's just like, I want to come back really blunt to them and be like, no, because you basically are self-hating before you say what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Why would I trust that you can do something great if you're already in the self-hate mode?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're like consumed with self-hate, self-loathing, whatever you want to call it, and you don't have that extra confidence in your craft or whatever it is that you do, approaching an outward source for information or approaching an outward source, I guess you could say, for funding or anything of that nature, like it could potentially ruin what could be millions in the future. I mean, that's the best way to relate that to what we just talked about. Like,
yeah, you're never gonna try it if you don't,
Yeah.
And I actually get mad, dude. Like, I have people ask me, you know how I am. I get kind of intense sometimes.
Yeah.
But I get intense, but I get angry because people will question some of my ideas. Well, I know, like, I'm so focused on that idea that I know it'll do good, but nobody else can see it. And I get frustrated when people say, oh, well, you know, we should try this and that. Like, dude, you know how many times that you've said that before, that we've done things that have went on to be great? So I'm so focused in that thought, man, like nothing's going to stop me, you know, and that's what you have to be like. You have to be,
you can't be
almost stubborn in your thought. Not like saying like you can't take other ideas onto that thought, right? Because it can, you know, you can push forward to make it even better. But we made a video about abandoning ideas. Like that's one of those things. Like you don't just abandon it, you just make it better. Like it's just
yeah. Like if you go forward in an idea and it doesn't work and it initially fails, guess what? You recoup, you take that idea and you market it better and figure out what makes it better.
Yeah, the initial vision probably won't be the exact end vision, but it'll be somewhere close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, 100%. And I'm trying to think like what are some like starting 3 tips we could give to young entrepreneurs and or business people that would just, I guess, help bolster their immediate takeoff into entrepreneurship. And I guess number 1, of course, confidence is key. That's obvious. But it's
I would say number 2 that, like I would say number 1 or something to add to that would be like, if you're going to come to somebody and ask for cash or ask for money, you have better put your time in and you've better put all your sweat equity in before you come ask for cash, because otherwise everybody's going to see through that. Yeah. And if somebody does give you money, they're going to be a pissed off son of a bitch that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. And I guess number 1, kind of to tie back into last week's episode that I said that was point number 1, is definitely defining yourself, like knowing who you are, knowing that you do have confidence, or in discovering like, hey, I don't have that much confidence. Sorry, dude. I just like threw up in my throat a little bit. That was disgusting. But like discovering that, yes, I might not have the most confidence. Work on yourself before approaching someone else. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, like Dustin said, you're going to cause somebody to be pissed off and you're going to burn a bridge. Like your lack of self-confidence could burn bridges, which is not good. That's a horrible attribute to have.
Yeah.
So those are like the first, I'd say those are like the first 2 points, you know, maybe 2.5. I kind of cheated there and added 2 of them together.
I think I jumped in there, but
dude, you're good. So, I mean, let's poke at number 3. What would be like a final trait? Just to give you a rough idea.
I think like what you said earlier is like be you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to be you. But when you do this, like you have to, that second part I said, don't be afraid. You cannot have any ounce of fear in being you and the idea you have. If you do, I promise you, dude. I promise you. And I can't stress this enough. If you're listening to this, if you have that fear element, dude, don't even start. You just need to work for somebody. Yeah. I hate to say that, but that is just the truth.
Yeah, some people aren't meant to have a business, and don't be scared. I mean, don't be afraid of that. Like, there's nothing saying that, you know what, you can't contribute great ideas to someone who's already took that jump. I mean, but you know what, we're not trying to tell you don't start a business. We're just saying if you have that fear and it's constant and you can't get it to go away, don't even waste the time.
Yeah, I actually heard, dude, I was going to tell you this. I heard Will Smith did a thing on, I forgot what he was on, but he was talking about, like, actually he was relating fear to skydiving. And he was saying, like, you know, he did this whole, not an actor, but he went through this whole ordeal to where, like, you're so scared to do this, you know, jump out the plane. Then once you jump out, you're like, oh, that's pretty fun. You know, it's like the fear leaves when you actually do it. Yeah. So once you fail, like once, dude, it's like, oh, that's it. Like that was it.
Yeah.
It's not even that bad.
Yeah. I mean, that came with me when I first started label design for supplements. I was so scared I was going to fuck something up. And then guess what? I did. I completely butchered a label. I think it was supposed to be like a SARM label, and it ended up coming out with like a bunch of like pro-hormone nomenclatures on the back of it. Like basically made a label that was like, hey, this is steroids, and it wasn't.
Yeah, that was like back when all these other companies were whatever. But
yeah, that was like years ago. But it's the fact that, you know what, hey, and after that, you know what, yeah, I learned my lesson. We refixed it, got new labels, and I was like, oh, well, that's not that bad. I know never to do it again because I don't want to look like a dumbass. But
if you put that sweat equity into that idea and stuff, it's usually going to come out well. But if you just throw something together and go, here you go, and try to like hide it past somebody, it'll eventually get caught. You know, I guess that's the best way to say that, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man.
And I know people have been waiting for this episode. They've been waiting. They've been like, okay, when are these guys going to start ranting on something? Because you know, we used to do the rant show, so it's like they're going to rant at some point. I knew it was going to happen at some point, but this is not even that bad. This is like a toned down level. Yeah. For us.
Yeah. You guys should have seen some of the old episodes. If you know came over to the CEO side of things from the previous from the rant or TBG, then you guys know that we had a few episodes where things got pretty heated. And, we're trying to keep it toned down here. This has been a pretty mild edition.
This was definitely a mild edition. I think every now and then, though, it's okay for us to do something like this just because we got to keep it real. And then sometimes you guys have got to hear what we're thinking, because sometimes we might say something about off camera, like, why the this guy sending me an email about how he hates everything he does, but here, invest in my shit.
Yep.
So
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. And another thing, I know this just kind of caught me, a second wind from speaking about it earlier. Don't be one of those people that has such a lack of confidence that you expect handouts. That shit pisses me off.
Actually, just don't expect handouts.
Yeah, don't ever expect handouts. And that was it. That was my final piece right there.
Definitely don't expect handouts, because that's freaking annoying.
Yeah, people aren't going to just hand things to you.
Hey, I graduated high school. Can I have $1 million?
One small loan of $1 million from my
Go back in your room and play a game and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should end it on that. Let's rock this.
All right, guys. You know what? Hey, this is the CEO Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share across all social media accounts. Also, don't forget to write a review for it. And as always, I'm Austin.
I'm